fame doesn't fade quietly. It fractures. It splinters into 1,000 competing narratives until the person beneath becomes almost impossible to see. Johnny Depp knows this better than most. The 62-year-old actor has spent the better part of a decade watching his life transform into something unrecognizable. A courtroom drama that overshadowed every film, a public spectacle that consumed every quiet moment. But 2026 has arrived with a different energy, not redemption, because that word suggests guilt. Not comeback, because he never truly left. Something else entirely. A reckoning with what remains when the smoke finally clears. Right now, as winter settles into early 2026, Depp exists in a space between mythology and reinvention. The ghosts of his past still circle, refusing to be silenced. New controversies emerge from decades-old shadows. Romance whispers through Hollywood corridors. Captain Jack Sparrow's tricorn hat beckons from Disney's vault. And through it all, Depp himself moves with the strange confidence of someone who has already survived the worst and discovered he's still standing. Hollywood thrives on secrets. The bigger the star, the deeper the vault. But some secrets refuse to stay buried, especially when they arrive in human form, claiming blood ties to one of cinema's most enigmatic figures. Two individuals, both in their late 20s, have stepped forward with claims that sound like screenplay pitches but carry the weight of potential truth. The first, a young woman living in France, tells a story her mother repeated throughout her childhood. A brief relationship with Johnny Depp in the late 1980s, when he was still a television actor chasing bigger dreams. The second, a man based in Los Angeles, points to the early 1990s, that golden period when Edward Scissorhands transformed Depp from quirky outsider to bankable star. Both were raised on stories, fragments of memory passed down like heirlooms. Both insist they have reason to believe the famous actor is their father, and both have something that makes their claims harder to dismiss than typical tabloid fantasy. Faces that echo Depp's younger self with unsettling precision. The photos circulated quickly, side-by-side comparisons highlighting familiar cheekbones, a jawline that could have been carved from the same genetic blueprint, and in one case, those distinctive dark eyes that have stared down countless cameras with practiced indifference. Social media exploded with amateur forensic analysis. Fans dissected every angle, every curve, building arguments in comment sections that ranged from genuine concern to conspiratorial obsession. For Depp, the timing could hardly be worse. Or perhaps it could hardly be better, depending on your perspective. He's been carefully reconstructing his professional life after years of courtroom battles that dominated headlines and overshadowed his artistry. The 2022 defamation trial with Amber Heard became a cultural flashpoint, watched by millions, dissected by everyone. When the jury delivered their verdict, Depp emerged legally vindicated, but culturally exhausted. Now, as he works to re-establish himself in Hollywood, these claims of secret children threaten to open new wounds before old ones have properly healed. Entertainment insiders whisper that studios already nervous about controversy might view these allegations as exactly the kind of distraction they can't afford. Whether proven or baseless, the rumors carry weight. In Hollywood, perception often matters more than truth. The two claimants haven't pursued legal action, not yet. But entertainment lawyers note that paternity disputes of this nature follow predictable patterns. DNA testing becomes inevitable. Once that process begins, privacy evaporates. What starts as whispered speculation transforms into documented fact or definitively debunked fiction. Either outcome reshapes the narrative. For now, the matter exists in limbo, caught between rumor and potential revelation. The claimants maintain their stories, Depp's team maintains silence, and Hollywood watches, waiting to see whether a family secret could truly have remained hidden for 3 decades, while its owner became one of the most photographed faces on Earth. But while questions about possible children from decades past swirl through gossip channels, another story has emerged. This one decidedly present tense. Johnny Depp was recently seen arriving at an event with a woman at his side. Not a co-star, not a longtime friend making a cameo appearance. Someone new, someone unknown. Someone who immediately became the subject of intense speculation simply by existing in his orbit. According to Variety, the pair kept close throughout the evening. No dramatic displays of affection. No staged moments for photographers, just proximity that suggested familiarity, comfort, the kind of ease that comes from genuine connection rather than strategic appearance-making. For an actor who has spent recent years guarding his private life with increasing vigilance, the sighting felt significant. Depp's romantic history reads like a Hollywood epic spanning decades. His long partnership with French actress Vanessa Paradis produced 2 children, and what appeared to be genuine domestic stability. Their relationship, lasting from 1998 to 2012, represented a rare period when Depp seemed to have found equilibrium between fame and family. When it ended, something shifted. The subsequent marriage to Amber Heard became a public catastrophe that played out in courtrooms and headlines, transforming private pain into global entertainment. Since then, Depp's romantic life has been characterized by discretion. In 2020, he was linked to Joel Rich, a London-based lawyer who had represented him during his libel case against The Sun. The relationship reportedly remained casual, never developing into anything lasting, though the connection between client and attorney raised eyebrows precisely because it seemed to violate unspoken professional boundaries. Earlier, in 2023, Depp had been introduced to Russian model Yulia Vlasova during the Karlovy Vary International Film Festival in Prague. That encounter grew into what insiders described as a casual but affectionate companionship. They were photographed at private dinners, walking together in London, attending concerts. Though sources noted the relationship never carried formal boyfriend-girlfriend labels, the chemistry was visible. For a brief period, it seemed like something might develop. Then, like so many Hollywood connections, it quietly dissolved without explanation or drama. What makes the current speculation compelling is precisely what's missing: information. No name has been released, no background details have emerged, even the typically reliable gossip networks have come up empty. The mystery woman remains exactly that, a mystery. And in an era where every celebrity movement gets documented and dissected in real time, the absence of information becomes its own story. Some observers suggest the sighting represents carelessness, a rare moment when Depp's carefully maintained privacy slipped. Others wonder if it signals something else entirely. Perhaps he's ready to reintroduce his personal life into public conversation. Perhaps he's testing the waters to see how the world reacts. Or perhaps it was simply a moment captured without deeper meaning, a single evening that gets transformed into narrative through the alchemy of public attention. For now, speculation fills the vacuum. Industry insiders note that even the faintest hint of romance shapes the narrative surrounding an actor of Depp's stature. At a time when he's carefully balancing professional reinvention with personal stability, the suggestion of a new relationship introduces complications. Will it become a distraction from his work? Will it invite scrutiny he's not prepared to handle? Or will it humanize him in ways that benefit his public image? The questions remain unanswered. Neither Depp nor his representatives have commented. The mystery woman continues existing in shadow, present enough to spark curiosity, but absent enough to avoid definition. And Johnny Depp, as always, moves through it all with the practiced ambiguity of someone who learned long ago that silence often speaks louder than explanation. But if quiet romance sparked speculation, what happened next detonated it. On January 1st, 2026, Johnny Depp simply disappeared. The evening before had been unremarkable. Depp attended a low-key gathering in Los Angeles, relaxed and seemingly unguarded. He wore his typical uniform, black jacket, jeans, the casual elegance that has defined his off-screen presence for decades. Friends later described him as being in good spirits. He exchanged hugs, shared quiet conversation, and left behind a single cryptic social media message that would soon be analyzed like ancient prophecy. Here's to new beginnings and old memories. By the following morning, he had vanished. No public appearances, no interviews, no sightings. His team released a brief statement assuring fans that the actor was taking personal time, but offered nothing beyond that carefully worded phrase. Paparazzi scoured his known residences in Beverly Hills in France. They found nothing. The silence was absolute, and into that vacuum rushed every fear, every conspiracy, every unresolved tension from years of public drama. The first day brought confusion. Fans assumed it was intentional privacy, a deliberate step back from public life that Depp had every right to take. But by the second day, confusion transformed into concern. Social media erupted. The hashtag #WhereIsJohnnyDepp began trending globally. Picking up momentum with each hour of continued silence, fan communities analyzed every detail of that final social media post, searching for hidden meaning in words that might have been nothing more than a standard New Year's greeting. By the third day, the story had achieved critical mass. News outlets picked it up. Think pieces appeared analyzing everything from Depp's mental health to potential relapse narratives rooted in his past struggles. Old controversies resurfaced. The legal battles with Amber Heard got rehashed in comment sections and cable news segments. Critics seized the moment to revive grievances. Supporters mounted defensive campaigns. The polarization that has defined public perception of Depp intensified, turning a 3-day absence into a referendum on his entire existence. When Depp finally resurfaced on January 3rd at a private event in London, he looked calm, composed, unbothered by the chaos his absence had created. He offered no explanation, no apology, no acknowledgement that the world had spent 72 hours losing its collective mind over his whereabouts. For some, the silence deepened the intrigue. For others, it confirmed suspicions that the whole thing had been orchestrated. The truth, when it finally emerged, reframed everything. Depp hadn't been in crisis. He hadn't relapsed. He hadn't disappeared into some dark corner to nurse private wounds. He'd been in Central America on a confidential humanitarian mission, working through the Depp Earth Alliance, a foundation he co-founded focusing on environmental conservation. Depp had traveled to hurricane-affected regions. He participated directly in delivering clean water systems and educational resources to communities still recovering from natural disaster. The mission required secrecy to protect volunteer safety and preserve the integrity of the work. No press, no publicity, just direct action in service of something larger than celebrity. Industry analysts immediately recognized the optics. For someone emerging from years of public turmoil, the brief withdrawal functioned as a strategic reset. The narrative shifted almost overnight. What began as panic and speculation transformed into something else entirely: admiration for quiet philanthropy. The timing seemed too perfect. Depp defenders pointed to his long history of environmental advocacy. Critics suggested the humanitarian work provided convenient cover, a reputational salve perfectly timed as discussions around major franchise returns continued circulating. The truth likely exists somewhere in the middle. Depp has always contained multitudes: the artist and the celebrity, the humanitarian and the troubled public figure, the genuine advocate and the skilled image manager. The three-day disappearance showcased all of it simultaneously. It revealed the relentless pressure placed on public figures and the speed with which narratives form in their absence. It demonstrated how quickly concern transforms into conspiracy, how easily silence becomes scandal. Most importantly, it reminded everyone watching that in the world of fame, truth often arrives only after noise has reached its peak. And sometimes, the most effective way to control a narrative is to step outside it entirely and let everyone else reveal themselves in the process. While the world debated his whereabouts and analyzed his motivations, Depp prepared for something that has always brought him genuine joy: making music. This summer, he'll return to the stage with Hollywood Vampires, the rock supergroup that represents his longest-running creative outlet outside of film. The band's Yorkshire tour dates carry particular significance: 2 major venues, Scarborough Open Air Theatre on August 15th and the Peace Hall in Halifax on August 22nd. Both locations known for drawing passionate crowds, both marking the band's first live performances in nearly 3 years. For fans, the announcement signals that Depp is stepping confidently back into the spotlight on his own terms, choosing when and how to reappear, rather than being dragged back by circumstance or controversy. Hollywood Vampires exists as pure creative expression. Fronted by Alice Cooper, featuring Aerosmith's Joe Perry and guitarist Tommy Henriksen, the supergroup allows Depp to inhabit a different version of himself. Not the actor playing a role, not the celebrity managing perception, just a musician on stage with friends, playing covers of classic rock songs, channeling the energy of artists who died too young. The name itself pays tribute to the drinking club Cooper formed in the 1970s at the Rainbow Bar and Grill, a legendary haunt where musicians gathered to honor fallen friends. Depp's decision to return to these same venues suggests continuity rather than nostalgia. It reinforces that music remains central to his identity, not an occasional hobby, but a fundamental outlet that has sustained him through the darkest periods. But the news that has truly shaken Hollywood arrived not from Yorkshire stages or Central American humanitarian missions, but from the corporate headquarters of Disney. After years of speculation, legal entanglements, and seeming impossibility, Johnny Depp is reportedly preparing to once again don the tricorn hat of Captain Jack Sparrow. According to Variety, Depp has reached an agreement in principle to reprise his iconic role in the next Pirates of the Caribbean installment. The news marks his official return to the Disney-backed franchise after nearly a decade away, closing a chapter defined by uncertainty and opening one nobody was entirely sure would ever arrive. Depp last appeared as the eccentric pirate in 2017's Dead Men Tell No Tales, the 5th film in the blockbuster series that began in 2003. Across those 5 movies, Captain Jack Sparrow became one of the most recognizable characters in modern cinema. Depp's flamboyant performance, a bizarre cocktail of Keith Richards' mannerisms and intoxicated swagger, defied every conventional wisdom about action heroes. Critics initially doubted it. Disney executives reportedly panicked during early screenings, but audiences fell completely in love. The numbers tell the story. The Pirates franchise has generated $4.5 billion worldwide. Both Dead Man's Chest and On Stranger Tides crossed the billion-dollar mark. The films became summer event cinema, reliable blockbusters that printed money for Disney throughout the 2000s and early 2010s. And at the center of it all was Depp, transforming what could have been a forgettable theme park adaptation into a cultural phenomenon. For years, his future with the series remained uncertain. Disney executives appeared to distance themselves following his 2020 libel trial in the UK and his 2022 defamation trial against Amber Heard. The studio seemed ready to move on, developing alternative projects that would continue the franchise without its most famous face. But the problem kept revealing itself. Without Jack Sparrow, Pirates of the Caribbean felt diminished. Like trying to make Star Wars without the Force or James Bond without martinis. The character and the actor had become inseparable in public consciousness. Producer Jerry Bruckheimer never stopped fighting for Depp's return. Bruckheimer has long credited Depp with creating Captain Jack Sparrow almost entirely through improvisation and eccentric inspiration. The character wasn't fully on the page. It emerged through Depp's instincts, his willingness to commit completely to choices that seemed insane until they became brilliant. Bruckheimer once called him a unique artist who turned a standard swashbuckler into something unforgettable. That assessment has only strengthened over time, as Disney's attempts to imagine the franchise without Depp have consistently failed to generate equivalent excitement. The upcoming film has been in development for several years, caught in the complicated machinery of modern franchise filmmaking. Disney reportedly considered two separate projects, a female-led reboot originally attached to Margot Robbie, and a continuation of the existing storyline. Robbie revealed in 2022 that her film appeared to be shelved, though Bruckheimer suggested both versions could eventually coexist in Disney's expanding cinematic universe. Depp's return changes everything. Industry observers note that his participation will likely be structured with both creative freedom and contractual protections. Sources suggest Disney has agreed to allow him significant input on the script and Sparrow's portrayal, a gesture that signals the studio's recognition of how closely the franchise remains tied to Depp's interpretation. After years of attempting to move forward without him, Disney has essentially admitted defeat. The pirate cannot be replaced. While Pirates negotiations played out in Hollywood boardrooms, Depp was making plans of a different nature. This September, he'll finalize the purchase of property in Spain, a move inspired by his time filming the upcoming thriller Daydream Drinker. The film, directed by Mark Webb and shot extensively across Spain, has marked Depp's high-profile return to leading roles, while deepening his personal connection to a country that has long held appeal for artists seeking privacy and cultural richness. During production, Depp was reportedly captivated. Not just by the work, though. The role represents his first major Hollywood project since 2018. But by the atmosphere, the culture, the privacy options offered by Spain's most exclusive residential areas. Photos circulated showing him touring high-security gated communities in Madrid, visiting coastal estates near Malaga, exploring properties in the Balearic Islands. But the place that won him over surprised everyone, including Depp himself. The property isn't a fortress-like villa. It's not a sprawling countryside estate of the type he's owned in France and England. Instead, Depp has chosen a spectacular penthouse in Malaga, a choice he's acknowledged isn't exactly my style, yet somehow feels exactly right. The penthouse occupies prime real estate in one of Malaga's most sought-after areas. The building itself carries historical significance, an early 20th century architectural jewel designed by Fernando Guerrero Strachan, blending neo-plateresque and mudéjar elements with ornate towers and sweeping sea-facing viewpoints. The structure houses just 11 residences and 2 commercial premises, ensuring privacy despite its central location. The residence spans 148 square meters of interior space, 3 bedrooms, 2 full bathrooms, 1 en-suite, a walk-in closet, fully equipped kitchen, and the feature that reportedly sealed Depp's decision, a sun-soaked 24-square-meter terrace. High ceilings and wide hallways give the space an airy elegance. The entirely exterior-facing, south-oriented design ensures abundant natural light throughout the day. A parking space in the nearby Plaza de Toros garage, just 4 minutes away, handles the practical concerns. Location matters as much as the property itself. Malaga's historic center, Roman Theater, the Alcazaba, Plaza de la Merced, sits just 10 minutes away on foot. The beach is equally close, providing easy access to the Mediterranean coast. The balance appealed to Depp, privacy and vibrancy existing side by side, cultural richness without sacrificing seclusion. Friends say Depp was particularly struck by the terrace overlooking the Mediterranean. He reportedly called it a perfect spot to play guitar at sunrise. For an actor whose relationship with the guitar spans decades, whose musical identity has provided consistent refuge from acting pressures, the image of that morning ritual seemed to resonate deeply. The purchase represents more than real estate acquisition. It signals a new chapter in Depp's European life, one that bridges career demands with rediscovered love for Mediterranean living. Spain has become increasingly attractive to high-profile figures seeking escape from the relentless visibility of Los Angeles or London. Malaga specifically offers cultural sophistication, excellent food, genuine warmth, and most crucially, the possibility of walking through the world without constant surveillance. For Depp, who has spent recent years reconstructing his relationship with fame, the move makes sense. It provides European base operations close to film production centers while offering genuine respite from the machinery of celebrity. The penthouse finalizes in September. By early autumn 2025, it will officially become his Mediterranean sanctuary, a place to play guitar at sunrise, a place to exist without performing, a place to remember that beneath the characters, the controversies, and the constant scrutiny, there's still just a person trying to live. As winter gives way to spring in 2026, Johnny Depp exists in complicated territory. The claims of secret children from decades past remain unresolved, hanging in the air like questions nobody can quite answer. The mystery woman has sparked speculation without providing resolution. The three-day disappearance demonstrated both his humanitarian commitments and the volatile nature of public attention. The Yorkshire performances with Hollywood vampires approach, offering creative outlet and genuine joy. Captain Jack Sparrow's return looms as the commercial comeback everyone said was impossible. And the Spanish penthouse waits in Malaga, promising Mediterranean mornings and guitar solos overlooking the sea. What emerges from these intersecting narratives isn't simple redemption or straightforward comeback. It's something more textured, more human. Depp has spent the past several years navigating the wreckage of his most public catastrophe, the trial with Amber Heard that transformed private pain into global entertainment. The verdict brought legal vindication, but not cultural closure. Some audiences welcomed him back immediately. Others remained skeptical, unwilling to separate the man from the controversies that have shadowed him. But 2026 has arrived with different energy. Not louder, not more visible, just different. Depp appears to be making choices based on what matters to him rather than what's expected. Music that brings joy, film roles that challenge rather than simply capitalize on past success. Real estate that offers actual refuge. Humanitarian work that happens quietly without press releases or publicity campaigns. These aren't the moves of someone begging for approval. They're the choices of someone who has already survived the worst and discovered that survival itself brings a particular kind of freedom. The thing about Johnny Depp is that his story refuses to end. Every time it seems to reach conclusion, commercial peak, artistic triumph, public catastrophe, legal vindication, something new emerges to complicate the narrative. The secret children, the mystery romance, the disappearance, the humanitarian mission, the rock tour, the franchise return, the Mediterranean escape. Each element could be its own chapter. Together, they create something too messy for simple categorization. Hollywood doesn't know what to do with complexity anymore. It prefers its narratives clean, heroes and villains, redemption arcs and cautionary tales, success stories and tragic falls. But Depp has never fit those templates. He's too contradictory, too willing to make choices that defy prediction, too committed to his own vision even when it works against his interests. The claims of secret children could reshape his legacy or prove to be baseless speculation. The mystery woman could become a significant relationship or remain forever unidentified. The humanitarian work could signal genuine evolution or function as strategic image management. The pirate's return could revitalize his career or become another franchise installment that disappoints everyone. The Spanish penthouse could provide the refuge he seeks or simply become another expensive property in a portfolio of expensive properties. We don't know yet. That's the point. The story is still being written, not by tabloids or critics or fans, but by Depp himself, one choice at a time, navigating the impossible space between public mythology and private reality. What we do know is this: Johnny Depp at 62 is not the same person who became famous at 21 playing a teen detective on television. He's not the same person who became a movie star through Tim Burton collaborations in the 1990s. He's not even the same person who survived the trials of 2020 and 2022. He's someone who has been transformed by experience, scarred by visibility, and forced to confront questions about identity, legacy, and meaning that most people never have to answer publicly. The weight he carries now isn't just professional. It's the accumulated pressure of decades in public view, the complications of relationships that became legal battles, the responsibility of roles that defined generations, the cost of choices made in private that became public spectacle, and the simple biological reality that time passes for everyone, even those who seem to exist outside normal constraints. Hollywood still doesn't know what to do with him, but maybe it never did. Maybe the point was never for the industry to understand Johnny Depp. Maybe the point was for him to understand himself. And if that understanding requires disappearing for 3 days, buying a penthouse in Spain, returning to a pirate role everyone said was finished, playing guitar with rock legends, and navigating mysteries both old and new, then so be it.